Please let me know if you can see it. So we were doing variables yesterday, and we did about the main concept of variables, how you can store information, and what really variables means. And now I'm going to just let you know some other, some small features around variables that you must understand. Sania, my age is 18. So over here, I'm just replaying that video. So over here, basically what we did was that we had a variable education, and we had that set to a string, which was I'm studying in LGS. Then I had a variable name, and that was also set to a string, my name is Sania, and so on and so forth. And instead of printing the entire sentence that I'm studying in LGS, I just printed the variable itself. So it was basically just substitution, sort of like that, like we do in maths. So that's the main concept behind this. So I'm just going to share it now. फिर से तो sentences ना लिखती कि my name is Sania, my age is 18, because that would have gotten super confusing for me, for the writer of the code, as well as for the reader, such as yourself. So that's why we have this variable, a single word, जिसमें वो पूरा sentence encapsulate हो जाता है. And that's literally the beauty of Python, that information is stored inside Python's memory using variables, a single word variable. ज़रूरी नहीं है कि it has to be a single word variable. I can make this education school. मैंने लिखना school education, school's education. So I will do that. School's education, sorry, school education. And over here too. Now notice something I did to separate the word school and education. In this variable, I used an underscore, and that's also a feature in Python that you must do. जब भी आपने वेरिएबल में जो भी वर्ड्स हैं उनको सेपरेट करना है तो आप एक अंडरस्कोर यूज करो, एंड उससे बस, एंड यू कैन यूज एज मेनी वर्ड्स फॉर द वेरिएबल एज यू वांट. लाइक इधर मैं कर सकती हूँ फुल नेम, और इधर में मैं अहमद भी लगा देती हूँ ताकि फुल नेम बन जाए. एंड फिर ऑब्वियसली अगर आपने यहाँ पे फुल नेम किए तो आप यहाँ भी करो. ओके, नाउ okay, so what I just said was that if you have to have more words in the variable, just separate those words using this underscore, and that's it. Now what if मैंने बहुत बड़ा कोड लिख लिया, बहुत बड़ा प्रोग्राम बना लिया, और उसमें जगह जगह मेरे वेरिएबल में मैंने चेंजेस लानी है, जगह जगह मैंने नेम को फुल नेम बनाना है, या एजुकेशन को स्कूल एजुकेशन बनाना है, या कोर्स को मैंने स्टडी कोर्स बनाना है, जगह जगह. आई कांट जस्ट गो अराउंड डूइंग दैट, एंड देयर इज like 100% पॉसिबिलिटी कि मैं कोई एक वेरिएबल को बीच में छोड़ दूं और फिर मेरा पूरा कोड खराब हो जाए. सो व्हाट इंस्टेड आई कैन डू इज मैं कोर्स को हाईलाइट, राइट क्लिक, and then we get this refactor, sorry. And from this refactor, we get rename. And this is what we're doing. We want to rename. So click on that. Rename variable course and its usages. इसका मतलब है कि जहाँ मर्जी course use हुआ है उसको हम हर जगह change कर देंगे to क्या करना था, study course. Refactor, study course, changed here, and I didn't even do anything. Like I did something, but it was very simple, very easy, very quick, other than going around and changing everywhere. I'm just gonna, okay. And our result is maintained, and that's about it with variables. Oh, one more thing. You must remember this. I'm just gonna erase some of these variables because, yeah. Let's just keep school education only, and I'm just gonna make school education only education. So refactor, rename, and I'm gonna change it to education. Refactor, and I'm starting in LGS. Okay. You need to remember that when you are printing a variable, such as education, you cannot and will not include it in double quotes or single quotes. Like notice over here, I did not include double quotes or single quotes because if I did include double quotes or single quotes for that matter, education itself will be printed, and we don't want the word education, we want the information that is stored in this variable education. मतलब अगर आप apostrophe या इन्वर्टेड कॉमास जब भी आप लगाते हो प्रिंट फंक्शन में वर्ड के साथ, तो पाइथन को लगता है कि हम चाहते हैं कि वो वर्ड एग्जैक्ट कॉपी पेस्ट हो जाए, एग्जैक्ट प्रिंट हो जाए. जैसे अभी हमने यहाँ पे इन्वर्टेड कॉमास ये डबल कोट्स लगाए हैं ना, तो पाइथन को यही समझ आई है कि हम चाहते हैं कि एजुकेशन प्रिंट हो, एजुकेशन वर्ड जो है वो प्रिंट हो, और वही हुआ, एजुकेशन वर्ड ही प्रिंट हुआ. सो बट हमें चाहिए कि हमें what we want is कि हम ये सेंटेंस चाहते हैं कि ये प्रिंट हो, जिसका मतलब है कि हम चाहते हैं कि वेरिएबल प्रिंट हो, because it's the same thing कि oh sorry I think I just okay sorry. तो हम चाहते हैं कि या तो ये लाइक ये आई एम स्टडिंग इन एलजीएस प्रिंट हो, जिसका मतलब हम चाहते हैं कि एजुकेशन वाला वेरिएबल प्रिंट हो. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी वोंट बी यूजिंग the double quotes, because if you use the double quotes the word itself will be printed. एजुकेशन का लफ्ज प्रिंट होगा, बट हम चाहते हैं एजुकेशन का वेरिएबल प्रिंट हो, जिससे हमारे पास ये सेंटेंस आएगा आई एम स्टडीइंग इन एलजीएस. सो आई एम जस्ट गोना रिमूव दीस डबल कोट्स, गोना प्रिंट आई एम स्टडीइंग इन एलजीएस ट्वाइस, बिकॉज हमने दोनों प्रिंट वाली कमांड में वी डिडंट यूज डबल कोट्स. Okay, so next I'll be putting up data types. This is a pretty simple concept and there isn't much to know about this, but it's important to know about it. It's important to know what data types are used in Python, because otherwise बहुत errors आते हैं. When I was first starting out with Python, I was making a lot of errors, and that's when I realized it was because मेरे data types सही नहीं होते थे. Like I was combining different data types in a single code, and that never works. So it's always important to know कि हर चीज़ जो आप इस्तेमाल कर रहे हो उसका डेटा टाइप क्या है. So int for example is whole number, float is decimal, and complex is under. I've explained it in a video, but it's just a flashcard over here for you to see. So I'm just going to play now. So data type is a very important concept in Python because you can make a lot of mistakes in your code if you do not know what kind of data type you are working with. Basically by data type I mean कि आपकी information किस category में आती है. जैसे हमारे पास letters हैं, alphabets हैं, A B C D है, that is an alphabet, right? That is उसकी category alphabets में आती है. So in Python similarly we have our data types too, जिसमें numerically हमारे पास categorically we have it all divided. जैसे we have a whole number, जैसे whole number में हमारे पास आ जाता है 4, 5, 7, that is all int. So int is 4, 5, 6. Then we have float, which is basically any number with a decimal point. So it's 2.9, 1.7, 6.4. Basically, it's not a whole number and it has a decimal point attached to it. Int, on the other hand, is a whole number. It does not have a decimal point. Then you also have complex numbers, which are basically where you have under root -1. अच्छा, अगर आपने मैथ्स ए लेवल से की हुई है या आपने सैट की मैथ्स की हुई है, तो उसमें you have this concept of imaginary numbers, ठीक है? तो उसमें ये होता है कि you have under root -1. So under root -1 अगर आप कैलकुलेटर में डालो तो आपकी उसमें मैथ एरर आता है. But usually आगे जाके advanced mathematics में you get chapters where you can get the value of those under root -1 की and basically under root minus 1 is equal to j in Python. So I just write j, sorry, j. So ये देखिए complex आ गया जैसे मैंने j लिखा है. Okay, so that's it. So that's okay, and we have another data type which is bool, and bool is basically boolean, and boolean values are basically true or false. So like we have yes or no commands, we have 0 or 1 commands, we have true or false commands for this boolean function. So you get either true, true, or it could be false. Okay, so also notice that Python is case sensitive, as I've repeated before too. So it has to be a caps lock T and lowercase RUE. So yeah, just keep note of that. Just to recap, int is integer, that's a whole number, it does not have a decimal point. So 4 is an example. Then you have float. Float is basically decimal point numbers and they are not whole numbers. Complex is basically when you have j attached to an expression of numbers. For example, over here 8 plus 9j is an expression of numbers, you could say, and j is attached to it, and j is basically under root minus 1, and that makes this complex. Bool is true or false, and that's it. Okay. Okay, so I hope everyone understood that. I'm just going to play the second video now. Just let me know if any one of you have any questions during this in the chat box. At times, you are unable to figure out what the data type is of a specific character or anything like that. So to do that, Python gives you the feature of type to figure out what the data type is. So for example, we have type, let's do 9.2, and we want to know what the type is. So I'm just gonna print type, and this will just let me know what the type is. Float. So this basically shows, and we already knew that 9.2 is a float because it has a decimal point, it's not a whole number. Okay, let's change 9.2 with something else. True. Bool. We already know that it's Boolean function, Boolean type, true or false. These are all Boolean. Okay, let's do something else. 10. Int. This is an integer, it's a whole number, it does not have a decimal point attached to it, so it's int. And then we had 9j, okay, let's do 10j, and print. Complex, because it has j attached to it. And since we've learned what variables are and how we can store information in Python's memory using variables, we can now take it a step further and introduce those into our print and input functions. So, okay, so first we input. This is a program which basically first asks me my name, and then it prints the sentence hi, and then my name. So it's basically the program saying hi to me after asking me what my name is. So input first, the program asks me, what's your name? Okay, and then I've already told you that with the variable, you can restrict yourself from, making a very confused, wordy sort of code, and variables के साथ आप बहुत आसानी से हर step पे बहुत clear cut एक आप दे सकते हो. Basically जिस तरह इधर अगर मैं इस पूरी चीज़ को input what is your name, this will basically ask the user what your name is, and जो भी उसका जवाब आता है ना, मैं चाहती हूँ कि वो जवाब store हो जाए in the variable called name. So name is equals to. So in literally the previous video, I was talking about how if you want to store a variable information, अगर आपने store करनी हो variable में तो आप इसको बस equate कर दो and simple. It's the same thing. इधर इसका इस sentence का basically इस code का मतलब ये है कि जो भी input होगा what's your name का, जो भी उसका आंसर मैं करूँगी, जो भी मैं उसका इनपुट दूंगी टू द प्रोग्राम, वो स्टोर हो जाएगी इंफॉर्मेशन इस वेरिएबल में जो कि नेम है. सो बेसिकली व्हाट्स योर नेम का जो भी मैं आंसर देती हूँ वो स्टोर हो जाएगी इंफॉर्मेशन into the variable which is name. So this is the So now we have our first variable name, which has been set to this information, to basically the answer that we will get from this input question. And then we want to print the sentence hi plus my name. So basically when I say my name is Sania, I want the sentence printed hi Sania. Okay, so print hi. Now after this, I'll add this plus and then name. Okay, let's try this out and then I'll explain. What's your name? Sanya. Hi, Sanya. Exactly the way we wanted it. So firstly, after we input what's your name and that answer, basically जो answer नहीं मैंने लिखा Sanya, ये information store हो गई into the variable name. And then basically what I wanted was कि मैं hi Sanya print करूँ. To do that, सबसे पहले तो मैंने hi लिखा and that is a character, that is the exact copy of the word hi that I wanted, जिसकी वजह से मैंने hi inverted commas में लिखा. ये मैंने पिछली वीडियो में भी कहा था कि जब आपको exact उस word की copy paste या उस word कोई print आपने करना हो, so you always put that in inverted commas, in double quotes, single quotes, whatever. उसके बजाय आपका नहीं हो सकता कोड एग्जीक्यूट. देन मैंने हाई के बाद अपना नेम डालना, बेसिकली नेम नहीं बट बेसिकली वट एवर द आंसर दिस पर्सन गिव्स इस क्वेश्चन का, जो भी जवाब देता है, मुझे नहीं पता उसका नाम क्या है. आई डोंट नो व्हाट दैट पर्सनस नेम इज जिससे मैं सवाल पूछ रही हूँ. मुझे बस ये पता है कि वो जो भी जवाब देगा मुझे वो हाई के बाद चाहिए. तो इसलिए मैंने प्लस डाला कि मतलब कि हाई के बाद प्लस and then name this variable, and if you just click on this, so they both are highlighted, which means कि दोनों same variable है and it's printed. Now अब मैं name की जगह कुछ भी लिख देती हूँ because I don't know what the other person's name is. That's why मैं उसका नाम यहाँ नहीं लिख सकती, मैं सिर्फ variable लिख सकती हूँ कि इस variable की मुझे information चाहिए and hi Esther, whatever that is. So I hope you understand that. If you don't, ask me right now and I'll explain. Okay, so this line by line code execution is basically a general tool that you need to know for Python. So to remember about Python is that the code in your Python program will be executed by the system line by line. For example, we have discussed variables now. We have discussed a lot of main things that Python has. So for example, I have a price which is set to 76. Okay. And then I print the price. I print this variable price. So basically on my terminal window, I should get the number 76. 76. But what if I have a very large code written and suddenly I find out that the price has actually been changed now to 84 or something. So now I need to change the price to 84. So price is equals to 84. And I print this price now. And now 84 will be printed. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna erase this. And 84 is printed. So Python completely disregards the price variable जो हमने सबसे ऊपर लिखा था, because मैं बताती हूँ. Basically it goes line, first of all it looks at line 1. line 1 को देखता है कि अच्छा ठीक है हमारे पास वेरिएबल है जिसकी इंफॉर्मेशन 76 है. देन वो line 2 पे जाता है, फिर वो देखता है कि इस ये सेम प्राइस जो वेरिएबल है दोनों सेम प्राइस के वेरिएबल हैं और इस वेरिएबल की तो डिफरेंट इंफॉर्मेशन सेट है, इसकी 84 इंफॉर्मेशन सेट हुई है और फिर पाइथन ये इंफॉर्मेशन अपने स्टोरेज में एब्जॉर्ब कर लेता है. वो इस 76 वाली इंफॉर्मेशन को डिसरिगार्ड कर देता है और जो उसको नई लाइन पे नई इंफॉर्मेशन मिली है वो उसकी टॉप प्रायोरिटी बन जाती है. एंड देन व्हेन यू प्रिंट प्राइस, दिस इज द प्राइस दैट गेट्स प्रिंटेड, द लेटेस्ट वन, जो सबसे बिल्कुल ऊपर होती है, जो मतलब लेटेस्ट लाइन पे होती है, न्यूएस्ट लाइन पे जो होती है. जो पुरानी प्राइस वाला जो भी हमने सेट किया था वो भूल जाते हैं, वो नहीं रिगार्ड होता. Only the new one gets regarded, and that's why we get this 84. And that's how we know that Python executes code line by line. First, it looks at line 1, then it looks at line 2, and then it makes changes throughout. Okay, so now we're heading on to the real stuff, which was okay. We also have a task, but I think we can do the task at the end. So now we're going to do strings. It's very fun, but at the same time, it's very important to know this. So it's basic stuff, but at the same time, it's a little complex. Just pay attention to this, and let's get right to it. So strings. I already introduced you to the idea of strings in the previous classes when you were trying out the print function, the input function, variables. So we're sort of already introduced to that idea, but now we are going to go into a little more depth with strings itself. So a string is a programming term which means a series of characters, a sequence of characters, which is defined using single or double quotes. So like we already did, and I'm just gonna do that again. So we have a string, cyber allies, and just print this, run. So we just printed our string cyber allies over here, right? So let's just do another example. Print static and 10. Okay, this is something new. This is something we haven't done yet. So let's just try it out. Okay, so if you can just make sense of what the code is saying here. Like I said before, that Python is so beginner friendly and just, you know, an easy coding language to begin with. It's because the code that we write is very much how we humans think. So these codes, they're all in a form, in sentences which we ourselves, you know, speak on a daily basis. So it's very easy to actually connect with them in that way, and it's easy to understand them. So over here, what we're doing is we are multiplying. So as we all know that, you know, on calculators, you know, computers, for multiplication, we use this symbol. For addition, we use this. Subtraction, we use this. And division, we use this. And this follows in Python as well, but we will go in depth with these operations too in the next session. But for right now, just, you know, you already know these, so just focus on these. So if you just, you know, try to make sense of this, what this code means, it basically means that this string, this asterisk, is being multiplied 10 times, as simple as that. And it's the same as me using a, so it's the same thing, but I use this asterisk here just to, you know, confuse you a little and to make you more, you know, to make you understand that this is different from this. This white one, this white asterisk, this is actually the symbol for multiplication. And when I, contain this asterisk in double quotes or single quotes, it doesn't matter, then that asterisk actually becomes a string. Now, if I didn't contain it in double quotes, single quotes, whatever, so this is an error. Python thinks right now that we just accidentally entered two multiplication symbol, when actually we were trying to enter a string, but since we didn't contain the string in double quotes and single quotes, तो ये error आ गया है. तो जब भी आपने string बनानी हो, हमेशा this is a rule. This isn't even a rule. It's a compulsion that you have to put it in double quotes, जैसे मैंने अभी किया है, या फिर single quotes, which would be this. And the same result we get. So it's very important to do that. It's very important to be able to differentiate when you have a string, when you have an operation such as a division sign. So must do that. So we just revised the concept of how when you are defining strings in Python, it's very, very important that you contain them within single quotes or double quotes. Otherwise, Python doesn't know what you're talking about. उससे strings की तभी समझ आती है, उसे characters की, letters की तभी समझ आती है अगर वो double quotes में हो या single quotes में हो. So it's very important to do that. So since the first session, literally, I've only been saying how they should be contained in either double quotes, या तो ये जैसे ये भी double quotes बनाया मैंने, या फिर single quotes. But you can also use triple quotes when you want to present a code that goes beyond a single line or two lines. So let me just give you an example for that. So when you want to have, a code or a string, that spans multiple lines, then you use triple quotes. I'll give you an example of that. For example, when you're sending out an email to someone, it's always like this. Dear cyber allies, please accept my application for the core team. Okay, something like that. For the core team, and then we can say this is my email ID. Sorry, my email ID. Okay, and then we just say thanks, Sania. Okay. If, for example, this is how we want, our code to be, our result to be in the console window or the terminal window. So what we do is we use triple quotes. It's a pretty simple way to do it. And अभी जैसे अगर हम डबल कोट्स इस्तेमाल करते हैं, सिंगल कोट्स इस्तेमाल करते हैं, तो बहुत लंबा प्रोसेस होता, क्योंकि हमें हर लाइन पे फिर से स्टार्ट करना पड़ता. लाइक हमें ये करना पड़ता, प्रिंट डबल कोट्स डियर साइबर एलाइज डबल कोट बंद, फिर से इस लाइन से स्टार्ट होता, प्रिंट दिस इज माय एप्लीकेशन फॉर द कोर टीम डबल कोट बंद, फिर से इधर 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 इधर. But when you use triple quotes, you only need to apply them once. So print, then I just press my quotes on my keyboard thrice. So 1, 2, 3. Let me just copy paste this and let me just do it again, because otherwise it's confusing. Let's go again. So print, 3 times you have to press your double quotes or your single quotes on your keyboard to get triple quotes. So 1, 2, 3, and then you press enter. Great, we got triple quotes, 1, 2, 3. And then I just press enter here, and then I just write my code, and great, run. And wow, this is what we get, exactly how we wanted it. Dear cyber allies, please have my application for the core team. This is my email ID. Thanks, Sania. So this is just the way we wanted it, and uh, in a different line, and it's much easier. Literally took us 2 seconds to do this. And now compare this to how much time it would have taken you अगर आप single quotes करते हैं, double quotes करते हैं, क्योंकि वो हर line में करना पड़ता. So that's the beauty of triple quotes, that when you want to define a string जो काफी lines में जा रहा हो, तो आप triple quotes इस्तेमाल किया करो. Okay. Okay, so this is a little tricky. It's not really tricky, but it's a little different from what we have been doing. Just make sure you pay attention. So we've already talked about strings, we've talked about variables, and over here in front of you right now, we have a variable course जिसको मैंने equate किया हुआ है to a string Python for beginners. Now this is a very interesting and fun, feature that I'm about to tell you. Just say you can get any character of the string अगर आप उसकी location डाल दो, कि मैं अगर कह दूं कि ये location है इस character की और मुझे बस ये single character चाहिए पूरी string में से, तो Python क्या करते हैं, मुझे simple एक single character देता है. मतलब कि if I print course right now, if I print course right now, then I should get the entire string, right? I should get Python for beginners, and I got that. ये मुझे Python for beginners मिल गई है पूरी की पूरी string, क्योंकि मैंने पूरा course लिखा था. But क्या पता मुझे खाली Python print करना हो, and I don't have the time to write another, code. I don't have the time to say कि oh print Python. I just have to write a single character, a single thing, जिससे बस वो Python मुझे मिल जाए, हर जगह मिल जाए. ठीक है? So to do that, we use the method of indexing. Basically Python में हर string का जो character होता है ना, उसको एक index allot हुआ होता है. जैसे students होते हैं स्कूल में, उनको roll number allot हुआ होता है, right? And वो roll number 0 से start होता है, 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 so on and so forth. Every student has a roll number allotted to them. ताकि अगर मैंने किसी स्टूडेंट को पिक आउट करना हो तो मैं उस रोल नंबर से भी कर सकती हूँ पिक आउट. ठीक है? अगर मुझे स्टूडेंट का नाम ना पता हो तो आई कैन जस्ट यूज द रोल नंबर, द यूनिक आईडी जो उनका है, टू गेट देम आउट. सेम इज द केस है. मुझे अब समझो कि मुझे कोर्स में जो भी कैरेक्टर्स हैं, मुझे नहीं याद कि उसमें क्या क्या कैरेक्टर्स थे, बट आई डू नो कि उसमें कोई पी का कैरेक्टर था जो मुझे जरूरी प्रिंट करना है, और खाली पी मैंने प्रिंट करना है अपनी टर्मिनल विंडो में. सो आई डू नो कि लाइक स्टूडेंट्स हैड दैट रोल नंबर्स टू देम, उसी तरह पाइथन ने भी अपनी स्ट्रिंग्स में हर कैरेक्टर को एक इंडेक्स अलॉट किया होता है, एंड दिस इंडेक्स स्टार्ट्स विद 0. मतलब the index for the first character or the first letter of a string is always 0. In this case, P has the index 0, Y has the index 1, T has the index 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. ठीक है? So just have to remember कि index जो हमेशा start होती है वो 0 से, जैसे students की roll number 0 से start होता है, उसी तरह Python ने अपनी strings में हमेशा उनकी लोकेशन या इंडेक्स जो अलॉट किए हैं वो हमेशा 0 से स्टार्ट किए हैं. सो द फर्स्ट कैरेक्टर, द फर्स्ट लेटर ऑफ द स्ट्रिंग विल ऑलवेज हैव द इंडेक्स ऑफ 0, एंड दैट्स हाउ वी कैन फिगर आउट कि हमें लाइक कैरेक्टर कौन सा चाहिए, ये या वो. ठीक है? सो लेट्स जस्ट स्टार्ट. सो अब टू फाइंड the index, to find the character जिस पे वो index fall कर रहा है, हम स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट इस्तेमाल करते हैं. ठीक है? स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट्स के अंदर हम इंडेक्स डालते हैं, इंडेक्स नंबर. जैसे अभी मुझे चाहिए, मैंने अभी पहले कहा था कि आई वांट द सिंगल लेटर पी प्रिंटेड इन द टर्मिनल विंडो. मुझे पूरी पाइथन फॉर बिगिनर्स नहीं चाहिए, मुझे आई डोंट वांट दैट, दैट्स यूजलेस फॉर मी. आई ओनली वांट अ सिंगल लेटर पी. सो टू डू दैट आई एम गोना यूज स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट्स. बट सबसे पहले प्रिंट फंक्शन. ठीक है? मुझे क्योंकि कोर्स में से चाहिए वो single letter P, so I write course and then simply square brackets, और square brackets के अंदर I will write my index जिस पे मुझे वो character चाहिए. That index is 0, so I'll write 0 and then I'll just run it. P, exactly how we wanted it. ठीक है? So let me just go over that again and then we'll just go over some more examples and we'll move on. So basically हर स्ट्रिंग में हर कैरेक्टर को एक इंडेक्स अलॉट किया जाता है, जिससे जिस इंडेक्स को यूज करके आप वो लेटर या वो कैरेक्टर अपनी विंडो पे प्रिंट कर सकते हो. सो बेसिकली इफ आई वांट जीरो, इफ आई वांट पी, तो मैं इंडेक्स जीरो इस्तेमाल करूंगी टू गेट पी, बिकॉज आई नो कि पाइथन ने एक ये कंपल्शन या रूल ही अपनी सिस्टम में डाल दिया है कि द फर्स्ट कैरेक्टर of the string has the index 0 always. ठीक है, तो अगर मुझे p चाहिए which is the first letter of the string, then to do that मैं सिर्फ index 0 डाल दूँ and that's it. That's all I have to do, literally. ठीक है, so since I want to print the letter p जिसका index 0 है, तो सबसे पहले obviously मैं print function डालूंगी. ये तो हमने first session में किया था. And since ये जो मुझे p चाहिए that's from the variable course, I'll write course and then square brackets. Very important, ये आप अपने notes या कहीं भी लिख लें, even though these videos will be uploaded, but आपको जब index वगैरह की चाहिए use करना होता है, index आपने डालना होता है to get the, you know, to get the character itself, use square brackets, ठीक है, to get the character. So let's go and do another letter. Sorry, another letter, but हम index को यहाँ रखते हैं इसका. Okay, now I want O. So by convention we know that O का हो जाएगा, अगर P का 0 है तो 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try अगर 4 index करते हैं तो O आता है या नहीं. O आ गया और small हुआ है, exactly how it is in the course. ठीक है, so I hope you understand that. ठीक है, बस just need to remember कि it always starts with 0, the first character is always 0 and so on, और फिर आगे बस counting चलती है. Now what if मैं करूँ -1? ठीक है, नेगेटिव में भी तो जा ही सकती है इंडेक्सिंग, और जाती है, बिकॉज अगर आप इधर से स्टार्ट करो, राइट साइड से स्टार्ट करो, तो ये राइट साइड हमारी -1 से स्टार्ट होती है, तो लेफ्ट साइड हमारी 0 से स्टार्ट होती है, 0, 1, 2, 3, और ये हमारी -1, -2, -3. सो इफ आई डू -1 आई शुड गेट S and I got S. तो ये 2-3 बातें to remember. The first thing is the index of the first character in a string is 0 and so on and so forth from the left side. Then the index of the first character from the right side, ये right side है हमारी, ठीक है, ये वाली right side है. Index of the first character from the right side is always -1. ठीक है, -1 and then -2. चलो हम -2 करते हैं. So -2 पे we should get R, since S is -1, so R is going to be -2. -2. So sorry about that. We were doing this. So -2 पे हम कह थे कि R आना चाहिए, तो let's just try that and R आ गया. So just need to remember that stuff, ठीक है, कि 0 is the index for the first character starting from the beginning left side से, and -1 is the index for the first character starting from the right side, ठीक है, इधर से end से, तो start से 0 होता है और end से -1 होता है, and then so on and so forth, and that's how you can get your characters for a specific index. Now what if I want a range? What if I want to get a few characters instead of just one character? अगर मुझे पूरा Python का पूरा word चाहिए, मुझे खाली p नहीं चाहिए. So to do that, we just use colon. ठीक है, I'll explain that. I'll show you. So we know कि p की जो है, it's 0. And we know that this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. ठीक है, so what I'll do is 0 colon, very important, and 6, and run Python. Amazing. So how this happened is basically we gave Python a range. We told Python कि 0 हमारा starting point है. 0 हमारा starting point है, इसका मतलब है कि वो p से start करेगा
फिर वो जाता जाएगा until it reaches index 6. But the trick here is that Python doesn't include the index 6 itself. मतलब वो 0 1 2 3 4 5 करता है, वो 6 को नहीं इंक्लूड करता. और यहाँ पे हमारी जो 6th इंडेक्स थी उस पर ये स्पेस आ रही है, तो दैट wasn't included. खाली ये पाइथन आया. अगर मैं यहाँ पे देखो कर्सर रखती हूँ तो कोई स्पेस नहीं आ रही, इसका मतलब है कि इंडेक्स 6 नहीं आया, खाली 5 इंडेक्स आए हैं. एंड दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू नोट कि अगर आपको कोई रेंज चाहिए तो आप हमेशा लाइक जितनी चाहिए उससे +1 करें, क्योंकि पाइथन डजंट इंक्लूड द लास्ट इंडेक्स जो आप लिखते हो रेंज में. जैसे अभी ये 6 लिखा है तो पाइथन डजंट इंक्लूड इंडेक्स 6, वो 0 करता है 1 2 3 4 5, दैट्स इट. अब जैसे हमें 4 चाहिए, हम 4 करते हैं तो इसके लिए हो जाएगा 7 8 9. सो अब मैं दिखाती हूँ 7 और 9. अगर मैंने 7 और 9 किया तो मुझे खाली FO मिलेगा. सी, हालांकि आई इंक्लूडेड ऑल द इंडेक्स. F का 7 है, O का 8 है, R का 9 है. सो व्हाई डिडंट फॉर पूरा नहीं आया, फॉर पूरा क्यों नहीं आया? इसलिए बिकॉज पाइथन 9 इंडेक्स को नहीं इंक्लूड करता, वो सिर्फ 7 8 करते हैं. ठीक है. सो इफ आई वांट द इंटायर फॉर, आई विल डू 7 10, ताकि 7 8 9 3 इंडेक्स हमारे आए और उससे हमारे पास पूरा वर्ड आ जाए फॉर. Okay, let's do another example. So what if I do 0 3? Now in your mind, 0 3. Now in your mind just quickly think कि 0 3 से रेंज से क्या आएगी, हमारे पास कौन सा लाइक कैरेक्टर का सीक्वेंस आएगा. Just think about that and then I'll press run in a few seconds. Okay, so if you had PYT in your mind, then you are absolutely right, because जैसे मैंने पहले कहा है बहुत दफ़ा कि पाइथन जो है, जब इंडेक्सिंग हम रेंज देते हैं तो वो लास्ट इंडेक्स को नहीं इंक्लूड करता. ठीक है, वो बस 0 से लेके इंडेक्स 2 तक जाएगा, बट इट डजंट इंक्लूड द इंडेक्स 3 इटसेल्फ, मीनिंग 0 1 2. ठीक है, तो 0 पे P है, Y पे 1 है, वो आ गया है, T पे 2 है, एंड दैट्स इट. PYT आएगा हमारे पास. ठीक है.
Okay, so I have to wrap it up now. We were left a little bit with length of strings and string concatenation. I can quickly do that in like 2-3 minutes, but we could still go over that later. So I'm just going to take 2 more minutes and then the session will be over.
Particularly easy concept and an easy feature with regards to strings in Python is, counting or printing the length of a string. कि एक string में कितने characters हैं, total characters. So the feature for that is len. So short for length, LEN. We use this जब हमने किसी string के total characters की length, या जितने भी और टोटल कैरेक्टर्स हैं उनको हमने टर्मिनल विंडो पे प्रिंट करना. सो प्रिंट कोर्स एंड len. Sorry, I did this the opposite way. Sorry. So len and course. Okay. मतलब अगर हम इस कोड को सेंटेंस फॉर्म में किसी को बताना चाहें तो हम ये कहेंगे कि कोर्स में क्या लेंथ है और वो मैं प्रिंट करना चाहती हूँ. सो लेट मी जस्ट गो ओवर दैट अगेन. कोर्स वेरिएबल में की क्या लेंथ है वो मैं प्रिंट करना चाहती हूँ. सो इट्स बेसिकली ये कोर्स वेरिएबल जो हमारा है उसकी स्ट्रिंग इज पाइथन फॉर बिगिनर्स. तो उस वेरिएबल या उस स्ट्रिंग की कितनी लेंथ है and we want to print that. So when we print that, we get 20. Let's change.
Okay, so that was for length, and there was another example, but we can do that later. And this is string concatenation. I just want to go over it because it's super easy and just will take just another minute. I'm really sorry about the
Do
time.
another example for the length function to count the total.
Okay.
Okay, this we will equate to hello.
So basically for string concatenation, you use you combine a string with another string or with another data type. It's as simple as that. So over here what I do is that मैं x पे एक variable set करती हूँ और उसकी कोई information, फिर y पे फिर just let's just
I is another variable that we will equate to a string word. Z is another variable which is a combination of x and y. So x plus y and print z. Hello world. Now, what the mistake here is that there isn't enough space between hello and world, if you can see properly. Space ही नहीं है. To bring the space, हम hello के बाद space डाल देंगे and let's run that. आ गई space. अगर आपने hello के बाद नहीं डालनी तो आप world से पहले भी डाल सकते हो.
Okay, so basically the basic concept of string concatenation is just this कि आपके पास different variables हैं और फिर आपके पास एक final variable है जिससे z है और उसको आपने add कर रहे हो दो variables से to make a single variable which is z and then you just print the word the variable z. तो आपको पूरी चीज़ नहीं करनी पड़ती hello world and it's just a basic example. You have very long codes, बहुत लंबे लंबे words sentences चले जाते हैं. So this string concatenation thing makes it very easy to understand and easy for you to do it as well. So you must do that. Okay, and now we're gonna end the session. And I really hope you understood this. Um, I've read your chat and I will get to that personally in the next session. I'm really sorry, but we have to cut it short now. I hope you understood. If you didn't, just let me know. And I'm also putting my email address here so you can email me with your queries or whatever. I will be uploading an exercise tomorrow or on Monday, and you must do that. Okay. I hope everyone understood. Thank you so much for coming.